Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of this deck building process. So, when we last left it, we were trying to figure out the special abilities for different cards. We never really figured out what the special abilities should be for the gravity sleds and like why you would want to upgrade those. So, that's something that we'll still have to come back to at some point. But we have a pretty good understanding of the rest of the abilities of the cards, right? So, you'll want to trade in your industrial miners for good miners, and good miners will allow you to get free industrial drills if they're available in the store. And then like we never really figured out why you would want to upgrade beyond that, other than to have like better equipment to ready yourself for better ship components, to be able to ready yourself to bring void opals home. So that's something that still needs to be worked on as well. I think that the drill right now and the explosive charges right now are some of the better cards created for this game. And so I've loaded that into the deck builder, or sorry, into the Tabletop Simulator game and separated everything out. And I just wanted to kind of quickly go through kind of what it might look like to play the game, right? So you want to continue to do these mock playtests, ideally playtesting with other people, but even mock playtest is better than nothing. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to grab hopefully just one card here, and we're going to start building out the store. So we're at 3, 4, 5. Gotta space things out a bit better. No, don't give that to that player. Silly game. And draw one more. I think we said we would start with a flop of 6. Did we not? It's been a while since I played. Nope. 7. A store of 7. Grab one more. And maybe what we'll do is just for spacing, we'll do something like that for now. Okay. So there's 2 round trip cards to purchase, and they're at an industrial level. I don't know if that's what we were planning on doing with that card, but we can circle back around to that later. We have best robot, best explosive charge, best power. Those are all super expensive, and we have a replicator, which is not as expensive as expensive. You can see one of the things that we did was the round trip. If you don't have any void opals, you can get 1 industrial robot if it's available in the shop. We don't currently have an industrial robot available in the shop, but I think what we've done with the mechanics might help us get to that point. Not right away, but soon. So let's go ahead and draw our cards. And did we decide to do 7 as well for the cards in hand? It's been a little bit since I've played this. Yeah, draw 7, that's what I thought. Store 7, draw 7. So here we go. We have our cards. Robots don't count against life support, which is fine because we can only support 1 human miner right now, which we got, which means we can play. I've made like simple rule cards: draw 7 cards face up, resolve in any order, trade cards into the store, shuffle traded cards into the store draw pile. Shop should always be at 7 cards. So I didn't even need to check my document. I should have just checked that card. So the intention, right, is that if I wanted a replicator, my plan would be to trade in 5 cards. So I'm going to get rid of those drills. I'm actually going to get rid of my miners. So that's 3, 4, 5. I'm going to get the replicator, and then we're going to draw a new card, which unfortunately is another best. But these 5 cards, instead of being like chucked away, they actually get merged into the shop deck. So we're gonna go ahead and grab all those, flip them over, put them in the shop deck, and shuffle the shop deck a couple times. So now the other player would go, and then I get to go again. So these 2 cards here, I wasn't really able to use. So let's just go ahead and get rid of those for now. But we could have assumed that maybe I traded 1 for a round trip or 2 round trips. Maybe there's another card here I would have traded for, but there was no value in playing those really right now. So let's go ahead and draw our next 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have a round trip. We have some robots, explosives. We're in a really weird place with all the golds being out. that's something to think about. Like, do we need the shop to be bigger to reduce the chances that we're gonna have a bunch of golds out that you can't afford early game? Because right now, I have, you know, like I have $5 basically, and there's nothing on the table for $5, and the game kind of would stall a little bit because there's nothing for me to purchase. But let's go ahead and assume. I don't remember what the cost of the round trip is supposed to be, but we'll worry about that later. Let's assume that I just got this round trip for this explosive charge. And so any time anything is sold back to the store, the intention should be to then shuffle the store deck. And so that will hopefully percolate up some of those industrial level items that you can use some of the special abilities to improve your chances. 1, 2, 3, 4. Darn it, I only got 4, which is not enough. I have my round trips, so I don't really have anything to do this turn. So we're just going to go ahead and discard, and we'll pretend that the other player did their turn. I don't have enough to draw my full 7, so we flip that over. We put that on top. Actually, and I can't undo, can I? Oh, apparently I maybe can. Okay. Yeah, so ideally we want to flip this over, oops, shuffle it, and then put this on top. There we go. Okay. So now we're ready for another turn. Let's draw our... Okay, that's weird. Oh, okay, that's because that's my table edge and this is my hand. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ooh, got a replicator. Not that it's super useful right now, but I mean, it could be to purchase initial card, right? So this is worth 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I don't have my 12, so I can't buy any of those vests, but I could buy a better power. Now, the intention with the power, of course, is to limit how many of the like other cards you can play, like the powered items, so like drills and things like that. I don't know if that's the right thing for us to do, but it's kind of how I have it right now. I'm definitely not going to get rid of my 5-cost card, so I'm going to get rid of 2, 3, 4, 5 to get 5. And then I can't really do anything with these, so we're going to go ahead. Oops, actually, before we do. Oh, it's a 2. Okay, come back a little card. Nope. I can't get that this turn, so we'll do what we were doing before. So these cards go into the deck, they get shuffled, and then I'm going to draw my next 7, and then I'm for sure going to get the drill. Take one, flip, grab these 2, flip, shuffle, shuffle. I am going to get that good miner. And again, we're not playing any cards yet, so like the power thing really comes into effect when we play something on the table without trading it in. So we'll get to that point very shortly now. So we'll get rid of those 2 to grab that and flip. Look at this, now we're getting things we can actually buy. So we're gonna grab both of those, we'll flip them, we'll shuffle. Unfortunately, I only have 1 robot. There's no industrial robots in the shop, so that's gonna end my turn. So the question becomes, like, is there enough activity and interest in the early game to kind of maintain, right? 2 cards left, so we're gonna flip this over, we're gonna shuffle it, and we're gonna put these 2 cards on top. And then we're going to draw our 7. And again, we'd be going back and forth with the other player, so maybe like more things would show up more often. So this isn't like a be-all end-all when it comes to understanding how the game mechanics would work, but it does kind of give you some insights overall into kind of how it might play. So now we have our replicator, which allows us to like copy card effects, and we have our better power. So we can now switch out our power with our better power, and that is a 1-cost card, and we're going to get good storage, so we only need to play 1 more card. So we're going to play this robot, so that's 2 value, and so we're going to get our good storage. We're going to flip over a new card, we're going to grab those, we're going to shuffle, 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 5 cost for making your opponent reduce their card draw next turn. You wouldn't think that would necessarily be useful in the mock test, but that's a 5 value card, which would help me potentially upgrade into higher value things later on, right? Into like the best things. And of course, the intention here is to, quickly be able to get void opals home. And to get a void opal, you have to be able to trade in, one of these like best items to be able to get a void opal. So, 2 other points, some round trips. I don't have enough to upgrade further, so we're going to call that a turn. I don't have enough in here right now to do another turn, so I'm going to grab all these, I'm going to flip them, I'm going to shuffle them, and I'm going to put this pile on top. Okay, and then draw. So we're still getting to that point where we're running out of cards per turn to do things, but I think we'll be able to kind of figure that out as we go. So that's a 5 cost. So I could do like 2 and 2 and 1, or I can do, that's the only thing I can do. It would be 2 and 2 and 1. I don't have any other way of making 5 right now. Let's see here. This is a good miner for free industrial drill, but there's no industrial drills. The round trip isn't useful to me right now. The robots aren't super useful to me right now. Someone's got to buy things for the store to kind of turn over items to make it more useful, right? If we were going back and forth, hopefully the store would be more different more often. And I could play both hands and go back and forth and really try to playtest this. And as the game evolves, that'd be something I would do. And then I would try to get someone else to actually play the game, whether it's in Tabletop Simulator or whether it's like a print and cut out version of the game on the table. So let's see here. We can use our good drill, which will allow us to gain another card. We got our good storage. So let's go ahead and take the good storage and put it in place. So if I wasn't going to spend this good storage, it would just be discarded like normal and be worth a 1 point value to buy something later on. And we played the good drill rather than spending the good drill, so we were able to draw an additional card, and we had the power to do that because we have up to 5 power that we can spend. And so now the good drill's done. The good miner doesn't help us right now, and these 2 robots didn't really help us right now. There's only 1 card left here, so we need to flip this. We need to shuffle it and put that on top. Just to kind of speed this along and get a better sense of how things might go, I'm going to assume that maybe the other character bought 2 cards. That way we can keep trying to change up the shop for now. So let's draw our cards. 5, 6, 7. 7 cards I feel like gives a really good hand of options, right? So we have a replicator, which we could use on our drill to be able to draw 2 cards instead of just 1. But if we use the card, then we can't sell the card. So if we wanted to sell the card, right, we would do 5, 10, 11. We don't have enough to be able to get a best. We could get a better robot. We could get a reduced card draw. We have enough for that, but we'd have to trade in 3 cards to do it. And we haven't earned a card yet from any of our abilities. Like maybe round trip should have let you get any industrial card. Does that seem like the right thing to do? I like the idea of limiting it, but you'd really have to have more turnover in the shop to make it so that you could use round trips each turn, right? Like if I could run a round trip and get a new card to my discard, I could start building my deck again. Or, if I saw industrial, like if there was industrial drills in here, I could use this card, actually play it, and get an industrial drill. But like right now, because of the shop, I'm not getting that. So do we increase the amount of cards in the shop so that there's more things available, more variety, hopefully? Do we make it so that after each round we like totally change out the shop? Like maybe the shop mechanic needs to be different in some way to make this game work better, because right now we're at that thing again where we don't have many actions per turn that we can do, and we're not getting into a situation where we can buy more items. The shop is kind of stuck, the player's kind of stuck. That doesn't necessarily feel fun. So if we were to bump up the shop to like 10 items, so what would that look like? Right now we have a reset store. We have the explosive charge, which is not super useful. And we have a lot of these high value cards, which kind of makes the store stuck. But we also need to acquire those so that we can get void opals. So I'm not sure how to resolve that yet. And that's part of the game development process, isn't it? You try things out and you see if they work, and if you see if they're interesting, and if they don't work, you try to refine them. I do think a like 10 or maybe even 12 card shop would be kind of neat. Oh, that's brutal. Or like I said, maybe every so often you reset the store, or maybe the reset, like each player maybe needs one reset store card in their hand, and then if so, what out of the 20 starting cards do we get rid of so that they can have a reset store? So that's an interesting thought too, to kind of reduce how stuck people get, right? Because if every other turn I had a reset store, I could, you know, discard and redraw the entire store in hopes of seeing like more industrial supplies there. So maybe that's something that's interesting. You know, the idea that the store is just constantly changing all the time. It reduces your ability to kind of plan, right? Because you can't go, oh shoot, in 2 turns, maybe I could get like this or that or whatever. But the idea is balancing that like card sell and card buy mechanic as much as possible. And because we're stuck, it doesn't feel good right now. So that's something that maybe needs to change. So I'm going to leave it there in Tabletop Simulator, and I'm going to go back to the card creator, and I'm going to also open up the document here. And so we have 2 round trips, 4 explosive charges, 6 drills, 1 miners, 5 robots, 2 gravity sleds. Maybe it needs to be 1 round trip and 1 reset store. If we did that, we would also want to grab the spreadsheet of the game. And how many reset stores do we have? We only have 2 in the game. So do we increase that? And if so, is there anything that we can reduce? Do we not worry about this card limit so much, knowing that there's other games that have a lot more cards? Putting limitations on yourself is important, because otherwise you could make like a 500 card deck builder game and people would have to spend like $200 on it. And you know, the variation between game to game would be so huge that you'd never play the same game twice, which could be good, but it also means that you couldn't necessarily strategize from game to game, which might make it hard. So let's see here. We took away round trips from the player's hands. So maybe we take away round trips from the deck and increase the reset stores, and we have the same number of cards, but maybe the game will be more fun. I don't know. So this will go down to 14 and this will go up to 4. And so I could like export this again for Tabletop Creator and set it up and play another round and figure out if that works or not. But I think today what I'd like to do is talk through artwork. So ideally you either make the art yourself or you commission an artist to do it. Typically, more recently, when I'm building a game for myself and my family, not for sale, I will go ahead and use AI to create art. How you feel about that is how you feel about that, and that's up to you. Another great option is to like go to different online stores. So there's graphicriver.net, and if you go here and you do TCG, you'll see that there's a whole bunch of like card templates. You have to be careful about the rules about reselling any of your games using this art, but it might help you kind of get to where you're going, or be a great example for an actual artist to riff off of to, improve and make better. But there's all kinds of like low cost ways of getting art for your game using these kinds of stores. So that's always good to keep in mind. I've been fortunate in the past that there has been opportunities to purchase like humble bundles that had a whole bunch of art in it with very nice, like loose restrictions about being able to reuse and sell things with it. So that's good as well. But I think for this game, for this example, we would go ahead and use like an AI art tool to create that art. So one of the ones that I really enjoy is Midjourney, which if you haven't used it before, it uses the Discord interface, which is a like web chat interface, and you use like different imagine commands. So imagine a sci-fi asteroid miner oops. So a prompt like this would hopefully generate some artwork that I could use for the mining cards. And it would just be for the artwork piece. You can also like do commands to create like the frame elements or the elements for the different values, or entire like card designs. If you don't like Midjourney, you could also use something like DALL-E 3 or Stable Diffusion. Basically whatever tool that your heart desires in terms of AI art. So with ChatGPT, I could say, imagine a sci-fi card game card design. You'll want to typically figure out what your aspect ratio is to provide it that information. Let's see what happens if I do. So this is probably like, this prompt is so weak that it's probably not going to give me a great image the first time round, but that's okay. This is just for example's sake. I'm not necessarily going to use whatever image it comes up with. And because I am out of my paid credits for Midjourney, you can see that I'm on relaxed mode. And so that can sometimes take multiple minutes to provide a result. So here's the first example of what it gave me. So one of the things that I don't think a lot of people think about when it comes to AI art is how iterative the process is. I mean, I don't just type one command and get all the art I need. I have to like do this back and forth dance with the AI to try to like iterate and figure out what I'm looking for. But that's great. The fact that you can iterate, the fact that you can ask it questions, the fact that you can continue to kind of figure things out makes it really an interesting process. So this is not better, right? Like this was more correct than this. But so we could go back and forth on this, and DALL-E 3 is pretty quick. There's Adobe Firefly, which I don't know how good or bad it would be at generating this kind of thing, but let's just have a quick look. And again, you would want to set your dimensions here. And there are a lot of free tools and a lot of paid tools, and it might just give you some inspiration. It might give you some graphics for the actual cards. It's really up to you to kind of figure out what you want to do. Let's see if we can get something a little bit more right. I don't know. So I'm still waiting on feedback for what should we do about the gravity sleds? is there something missing from the game that might be interesting? Should gravity sleds maybe allow you to, swap out, 1 item from the store, 2 items from the store, 3 items from the store, and increase that like store mechanic? Would that be interesting? Would that be fun? I don't know. Let's add that in for now as a thing. And then we'll make this 2 items from store and 3 items from store, so that allows the store to kind of turn over a little faster. That could be kind of cool. Let's go ahead and go back and we'll add that to the cards for now. So I'm just gonna grab that text and paste it. And so now we figured out gravity sleds, at least temporarily. I still think we have the right option for the void opal, making it so that you have to have, the exotic cards to be able to swap them for void opals. I think that's still really interesting to me. I still like the idea of the first person to, 10 void opals. I don't even know if maybe that's too high. Maybe that would take too long in the game. Maybe it should be 5 void opals, because you have to build all the way up to the exotic stuff. The round trip card, did we ever determine? It should be precision, and precision should be worth 5. So why are you not blue? Like, why? That's a thing. You should be blue, and you should be worth 5, and you've decided not to show either of those things. Cool. Let's try this again. Okay. So now we know the value of the round trip. So when you start your game, you have a 5 cost card here, you have a 2 cost card here, and then the rest of these would all be 1 cost cards that would do nothing. Would you ever trade in your round trip to get some early advantage? Maybe you would. Would you ever trade in your reset store to get 2 additional industrial cards? I hope not. But you could maybe swap 1 to 1, right? That could be interesting, right? Swapping your reset store for like a good explosive charge or something. Because then you multiply card effects by 2, and this would let you reset 2 items from the store. This would let you reset 4 items from the store. This would 6 items from the store. It'd be really interesting to see people like stack some of these. Like, can you imagine if someone uses a multiply card effect times 3 on another multiply card effect times 3, which is like drawing additional cards, and someone's like drawing their entire deck into their hand, and what does that look like in terms of the ability to like buy expensive things? So those kinds of synergies are things that you really only find when you're actually doing live play tests with different people. And so I'll have to get to that point at some point. We have our engine stuff here with reducing the additional round trip cards. We don't on our like cards have any of the kind of like rules about some of that stuff. So we'd have to figure out what those rules look like and actually like write them down. So like for round trip, right? Delivers your void opals back to Earth, so they count as points. Like we don't have like, maybe it should be like first to 10 void opals wins. So now that like instructional card has more insight into it, but it doesn't say like void opals cost a exotic. So maybe on the void opal themselves you would want that kind of text. So now we know that you have to trade an exotic for a void opal. I like the idea of requiring it to be an exotic, because then you can't just do like 12 points of value. It has to be an exotic. Does that make sense? Does that feel right to people? Let me know in the comments if you think that makes sense. Also, let me know how we should like, solidify or codify the additional rules. Do all the rules need to be in these kinds of quick rule cards? Probably not, right? But how do we, add in some of those other rules that are important? Is there enough text on this card to understand what is meant by this? What are your thoughts on, capitalization versus not capitalizing every word. I'd be interested in your thoughts on that too, right? Different games kind of design those in different ways. But I think for now, that's going to do it for this episode. If you have any feedback, commentary, I would for sure be interested in it. And let me know what you think. And this is the asteroid miner in space, apparently. It's not exactly what I was looking for, but you know, that's how it is with AI art. And honestly, that's how it is with human art as well. You don't always get what you're looking for, but I think it's a much shorter process, but much more costly. So you'll have to decide what you want to do with that. Also, there's some rules and regulations about copyright and owning AI art, so just be aware of that. But we can talk about that more in a future video. Have a great day.